I'm the best ever. I'm Sonny Liston, I'm Jack Dempsey. There's no one like me. I'm from Nairclaw. There's no one that can match me.
Yo, bounce guy, go off.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody. The double champ does what the he wants.
Wilder's in a world of trouble, closing seconds. Can he weather the storm here in the third round?
And the ball to superlative.
Big right hook, lands flush for Cambosos, and that knocks down Teofimo Lopez. We have ourselves a fight.
Khabib Nurmagomedov gets a triangle choke from up top. Gaethje's out, and the fight is over. The triangle choke for Khabib Nurmagomedov.
And Porter gets knocked down. He gets knocked down again. 10th round TKO win. Left uppercut, and that knocks out Leo. It appears he's out cold. The fight is over. It was a counter left uppercut, and just like that, what a left uppercut. I did not see that coming, ladies and gentlemen. I will have to admit, what a fight.
Nice celebration or a 3K video. I don't know, man. To hit 3,000 subscribers and like
Right hook to the body for Campbell. Left hook to the body for Garcia. And that knocked down Campbell. It was a left hook to the body. Campbell on the ground. The count is on. Can he make his way up? It appears he can't get up. Campbell on the ground. Trying to stand up. And the fight is over. Ryan Garcia with a 7th round knockdown. What a performance. Guys, if you haven't, hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get to 3,000 subscribers. Do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the thumbs up. We're trying to do record number 7. Ryan Garcia tearing up and crying. What a performance for Ryan Garcia. Check, check, check. 1, 2. Welcome to the stream, ladies and gentlemen. #1 commentary channel on YouTube, guys. And it feels great to be back to educate guys like Beta Quest, Hito609 in the chat, as well as others that will be stopping in shortly. Guys, thank you for coming through. It's another lovely Monday. This time we're a little later than usual. We usually start at about 11 a.m. or 11:30 or 12. Today we started at 1:15 p.m. So let's see how it goes. Let's see if people prefer this or not. Hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button. Appreciate you guys for coming through and always showing love. Now, we have to talk about, you know, we got to talk immediately without further delay. Francis Ngannou fighting Tyson Fury and the outcome on that. Quick housekeeping before we do so, though. This evening around 7 p.m. we'll be doing a live stream with Trey Melton to see what he has to say. So we'll be talking UFC 295. There's also UFC Fight Night this weekend. I would love to hear what he has to say about Ngannou, because if you guys remember, he very heavily criticized Francis Ngannou of fumbling the bag. I would love to see what he has to say, because in my opinion, that's the last thing that he did. If anything, he, in hindsight, which is easy to say for us, even though we did call it, in hindsight, he did what was best for him. It's easy to say now, but it's lovely to see that his decision to leave the UFC. We'll see what Dana White has to say. I could see Dana White having one of those responses about roughly saying, you know, Tyson Fury looked slow out there. He looked a little winded. He wasn't himself. Kind of like he did for Adesanya and versus Sean Strickland. We'll see if he even makes a comment, or if he just says something like, listen, I'm happy for Francis Ngannou. Which one do you guys believe would happen? But I'm intrigued to see if he even makes a comment. But the possibilities, which is also amazing, the possibilities now are endless. Francis Ngannou has plenty of opportunities now outside of the UFC to make some fights, whether it's Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, a fight in the PFL, bare knuckle. I mean, who knows? But right now he made a ton of money, about 10 million or so. I don't know how he's gonna do with the pay-per-views. That's something that I'm very intrigued to see on how he does. But let's quickly catch up with chat. Beta Quest is the first one in the building. Says, guess I gotta mark my territory since a certain person likes to come in and claim stuff. I wonder who, the man himself. Hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up if you're new here. Thank you so much for coming through. Steve Williams in the building as well too. Steve Williams with the gold glove and the championship belt. Welcome to the stream. We have 3 championship belts in the chat. So excuse me. Thank you once again, Steve, for always coming through. Francis Ngannou, without further delay, and a video comes out at 2:30 on this channel. That's the last thing I'll say. But let's quickly talk about this right here. One of the funniest picks that I saw released. You can't defeat me. We know. We got Dillian White. We got Anthony Joshua. We have Deontay Wilder. We know, but he can. And who do they show at the very bottom? Got your girl. Welcome to the stream, man. Thank you for always coming through, man. Everybody coming through. 267-545-8096. If you want to share your thoughts on who should Ngannou fight next, about his performance, on whether he won. I watched the fight completely from beginning to end today, so I'll talk about this a little bit. But isn't it interesting to see? We've already seen Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury fight 3 times. First one in being a draw, the second and third time in Fury winning in dramatic fashion in both of those fights. Anthony Joshua, because of how he has done against Usyk, many don't feel that he'll do okay. We live in a world, it almost sounds dramatic, right? It almost sounds like I'm about to talk politics, but we live in a world where the man to almost dethrone Tyson Fury, the man that gave him his toughest fight besides Otto Wallin, if you've ever seen that fight, I would even argue was a bit tougher. The most dangerous matchup in hindsight now on Monday after the fact was none other than Francis Ngannou. He went a full 10 rounds. And as I try to look up something for you guys as well too, Francis Ngannou versus Anthony or Tyson Fury scorecards. Kane, me and Kane have been agreeing more politically more than ever. Kane and Beta Quest will be good friends with their politics. What's it called? What's up, Vic? How you doing, bro? One judge, I mean, the other two gave it 95-94, one of them for Fury, 95-94, one of them for Ngannou, but one judge right here to the left gives it 96, if you guys see right here, 96-93, Tyson Fury. That means that Tyson Fury won 7 out of the 10 rounds for this judge. Is that ludicrous to say, or does he have a point? Think about it. 7 of 10 rounds for Fury is what he would have had to win to have that kind of scorecard of 96-93. If he said 95-94, maybe we'll let him get away with it. It is a 95-94 Fury is my question to you guys. 95-94 scorecards for Fury. Is that a robbery, or could it have gone either way? We'll love to hear some thoughts. Now, I watched it today from beginning to end, and I thought to myself, listen, it was a close fight. I'm not going to sound blasphemous. You guys can call in 267-545-8096 and share your thoughts on the fight. We have a voicemail, so I'll play that in a second. But if you guys want to talk about the fight, 267-545-8096. I watched the fight from beginning to end. Fury in round number 2. If you guys remember, if you guys watched it. If not, I would encourage. You got another comrade in the chat. The name Kane, we've been agreeing more with, and he's more to the left than I used to be, but than I am. I'm more like, to the right. You know what I mean, Beta, as far as like politics or whatever. But we've been agreeing more and more, so maybe we'll have a conversation with Vic. But anyways, and we have 2 voicemails, so I'll make sure I play them back to back. Round number 2, if you guys remember, Francis Ngannou, Tyson Fury. Why did Fury switch to a southpaw stance? Round number 2, Ngannou lands a beautiful uppercut down the middle out of the clinch. And of course, that goes back to his background, the MMA background. He was fighting out of the clinch quite well. He wasn't biting on feints. I don't mean to big up Francis Ngannou too much because it almost sounds like he's the next best thing since like sliced bread, the way I'm talking about it. But again, you got to remember, it's not like he fought up the ranks. It's not like he fought 4 to 5 professional fights and then fought Fury. He goes in there, leaving the UFC with all the pressure when everyone was saying he fumbled the bag. And his first big fight outside of the UFC after Dana White said he's scared to fight John Jones, as crazy as that may sound, because Ngannou always wanted that fight. Dana White says he's scared. Everyone in the comments, if you go back enough, everyone was saying he fumbled the bag. Oh, there's no big fights for him out there now. The pay-per-view numbers, again, we don't know what they're going to be, but I would assume in the future they're going to be better than what they were against Fury. But nonetheless, he fumbled the bag. There's no fights for him out there. He should have stayed in the UFC. He's messing up his legacy. And not only did he do better than most people thought he would do, he arguably won. I'll talk about it a bit more, but let's get to the first voicemail of the afternoon. Let's get right to it. I would love to hear your thoughts. 267-545-8096. Let's play the first one now. Here we go.
Yo, what's up, bro? For one, it's a fire hat. I got the same Jordan's here, so fire hat.
Appreciate it.
Let's just get ready.
I'm gonna try to get a sponsor by them too, by Dad again, because we're doing numbers. But anyways, here we go.
Oh, man, let's just get into the robbery that's happened this week.
Let's get into the robbery. Here we go. Let's see what Q has to say.
Okay, let's get into the big crime that needs to be investigated. If anybody would have thought that Francis Ngannou would have won this weekend, a boxing match against Tyson Fury, I would have bet $1,000 that wouldn't have happened. And I even talked to people around here. I was like, yo, Tyson's going to win easy. I didn't say he was going to knock him out. I said he's going to be an easy class of boxing because Tyson's a great boxer. He showed that against Fury. He knows how to box. It's not just about power.
And the narrative, Q, was if Ngannou doesn't win by knockout, he has absolutely no chance. That was a narrative. Is either he either wins by knockout or Fury wins by a boxing masterclass. And you see Ngannou talk about it as well too. Video coming out at 2:30 p.m. Ngannou said before the fight even started, before the opening bell, Fury says it's time to take you to school. And we'll talk about what Ngannou told him after he knocks him down in the third. But exactly, Q, that's what people thought. It was gonna be a masterclass. If I had $1,000, if I had a gun to my head, I'm in agreement with you. I would have bet on Fury.
Yeah, he knows boxing. And Francis came out here and fought better than Tyson did. Francis won that fight, man. He knocked him down. And for somebody to score 96, 93 hard, that's like saying it's like giving Adesanya a 10-8 round against Strickland. Like, there's no way that should have happened.
Wow, the comparison that Q makes, maybe he does follow both sports because he did say giving 96-93 to Fury, it's almost like giving a 10-8 round to Adesanya. Is it that egregious? Is it? That might be a little bit of a reach. I don't know. Let's think about this out loud. 10-8 Adesanya in any round. Was it? Fury and Ngannou might have been close, but I agree that I thought it was a pretty clear win. So maybe that might be a decent comparison. I guess is that atrocious to Q, to the guy on the call, that it was a clear robbery. Let's catch up with chat before we get to the rest of the voicemail. A draw at best, says Kane. Francis took a round off that could have hurt him. What round are you specifically speaking of? Are you speaking of round 10 where he kind of like takes his foot off the brakes a little bit? Or are you talking about round 6? Joe De Jesus says, watch the whole fight, thought Tyson edged it out. Maybe Joe is here to tell us the truth.
You need people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fingers.
We'll see if Joe has some thoughts that you could call in 267-545-8096. Fury, I don't know that language, Alves, but welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for being here. Steve Williams says, Miller, did you hear that Fury is not going to fight Usyk? I heard that it was canceled. According to reports, Francis rocked his dome, knocked him down, and blacked his eye. Big win for Francis, says Steve Williams. Listen, close fight, Steve. it's a win nonetheless, and I'll talk about that later as well too. Although he may have lost the battle, in essence, he won the war. We'll talk about that in a little bit, Steve, as well too. But I'm in agreement with you. Let's get to the rest of this voicemail.
And I don't know. It's just, this is why people say boxing is a joke, and which I.
This is why people say boxing is a joke. Devin Haney versus Lomachenko was a pretty close fight, but most people were upset. They thought Lomachenko won, or at least one of the scorecards was just terrible. As far as previous fights in boxing, there have been robberies. Even look at the KSI versus Fury. It almost seemed as though KSI won, and there was a point deduction for hitting behind the head. But are boxing judges protecting their own? The boxers, that being Tyson Fury and his brother, both. Now that a light bulb moment just came off in my head, it has been both the Furies that arguably were given favorable judging. Are they protecting their own? Is it corrupt?
Always said UFC is way better because.
And this is where Q says the UFC is better, even though there have been some maybe robberies in the UFC as well, but overall, I don't think they're as bad as boxing. They haven't been around as long, but boxing has been sort of horrible. And yeah, please leave a voicemail. I'll make sure I can play. How can I call in? 267-545-8096. We're doing the voicemails now. I'll be doing live calling in a little bit, but feel free to leave a voicemail, Joe. We'd love to hear your thoughts.
It's just so much politics behind it. Everybody knows he's fighting in December, so it's like, oh, well, we can't let Tyson go out like that. Like, it's
damn. Oh my God! Listen, Q. It was you and Vic right here. As far as who knows more, right? Vic was actually like a little right here. You're making some decent points where you might be. I don't know, Vic. I'm just saying. Q is bringing up some good points. He ate his Wheaties today. Let's go back to what he had to say.
Like Tyson go out like that. Like, I'll think behind it. Everybody knows he's fighting in December, so it's like, oh, well, we can't let Tyson go out like that. Like,
we can't let Tyson go out like that. If he loses on paper, not just in the eyes of the fans, to the judges. If Fury loses on paper, perhaps, according to Q as well, that fight between Usyk and Fury is just there's not that much hype behind it. So it benefits at least the sport of boxing in the grand scheme of things for Fury to get the favorable win, even though it was a close fight, even though most felt that Francis Ngannou won. And that reminds me, start a poll, who really won? Bang, 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 real quick. 1 second, and we'll get right back to the voicemail. But does Q have a point, guys? They needed to do this in order to sell the Usyk fight, which potentially seems off right now as well too. I put a poll in the chat in 1 second. It's there. Feel free to vote. And Joe, I will be accepting live callers if you'd rather just have a live call instead of a voicemail, but feel free to leave a voicemail. 267-545-8096. Let's get back to what Q has to say.
and like Tyson go out like that. Like, it's a horrible look on the sport. Like, Francis won, and he shocked a lot of people, and he actually looked good. So I want to know who he fights next, or does he try to maybe go for another rematch, or does he try to like bring up the fight with Tyson and like, yo, I want this to be checked because there's no way I lost that fight. Very interesting to think about, man. But once again, it's your father speaking. If you didn't know, see.
There you have it, guys. Q with the phone call. Respect to Keyshawn, because that's a listen. If I'm Fury, we have another voicemail. We'll play that in a bit. If I'm Francis Ngannou, and I would love to hear some thoughts of what you guys would rather see, whether it will be the rematch between Ngannou or Fury or something else. But if I'm Ngannou, in the eyes of the fans, in the heart of the fans, I won. I went a full 10 rounds with Fury. I knocked him down in the third round. I arguably outboxed the greatest heavyweight alive at the moment, even though Usyk might have something to say about that. He's a smaller heavyweight, but nonetheless, I arguably won against Fury. I move on. And I only move on because there are other fighters out there that will sell potentially more than Tyson Fury. And there's two big names, the easiest names. Imagine a fight between Francis Ngannou versus Anthony Joshua. Imagine a fight between Ngannou and Deontay Wilder. Now, here's the thing. If you fight Deontay Wilder, massive fight, huge fight. If you fight Anthony Joshua, maybe even more massive. You have the fans that are going to watch from overseas. Either fight you almost can't go wrong with. If I had to pick which one I would rather see, if Ngannou arguably outboxed Fury, he can outbox Deontay Wilder in a 10 to 12 round fight. Now, if he gets caught by the Bronze Bomber, by a big shot, he could potentially go down and out. But as far as on paper, is a fight that he could win. Q is drunk, says Joe De Jesus. There are plenty of options out there. We got another voicemail. Let's catch up with chat before we get to the next one. I'm calling in like UFC don't have trash judges, says Hito. Kane says round 9, I believe Francis might have done it to regather his win because he closed the fight strong in the 10th round, right? But including that knockdown, I don't see how Tyson had a chance flat out winning on the scorecards. On the scorecards, one judge had Tyson Fury winning 7 out of the 10 rounds. There were too many swing rounds, in my opinion, to give him 7 out of 10 for Tyson Fury, but that's boxing judging at its finest. We know they have trash judges, says Steve Williams. In a fight where almost every round was single-digit lands, and that's another good point. How can anyone edge anything? It was too close to give 7 to Fury, Beta. Joe says, cats don't know boxing. Joe taking off the gloves. Boxing was definitely saving face. If Ngannou wins, maybe that Usyk versus Fury fight is out the window potentially, and it still might be. Fight Joshua or Wilder next. I agree. Q is drunk. Wilder will sell more. That's a debate we can have in a bit. Thank you for becoming a member for 17 months. Steve Williams. And he says, let's go, Miller. I think Francis has a world of opportunities that have opened up. He needs to fight all the heavyweights like Wilder and Joshua. And the crazy thing about this point as well, too, thank you for becoming a member for 17 months, Steve Williams. The crazy thing about this, too, is he fought Fury. It made about 10 million, maybe a bit more. Maybe someone could find the numbers for me. He fights Fury. Imagine he fights Joshua and Wilder. If he gets those 3 fights, I would assume, and we could talk numbers, but I would assume in those 3 fights, he would have more than tripled what he made in the UFC in his whole career. Maybe quadruple more. The numbers are going to be astronomical for him. And then not only did he not fumble the bag, but he made the best decision that he could have possibly made by switching over to boxing and leaving the UFC. And will that open doors for fighters? We'll see. Let's get to the next voicemail.
Good morning, Miller. Huge shout out to you and your platform, your podcast, and to the community that I'm a part of. This is Steve Williams checking in from Gilroy, California. I just got a couple things to say about
Gilroy, California in the building. Let's go. Let's go. Steve Williams always showing love, man. Thank you for calling in. Here we go. Let's get right to it.
The Ngannou fight, I noticed that Francis was very durable, and he was taking his punches.
He wasn't biting on feints, which is something that impressed me the most. When you have the butterflies, when all eyes are on you, when you're doing something that maybe arguably is not second nature, that being heavyweight boxing. You're used to fighting MMA with the small gloves. Now you're fighting boxing 10 rounds. How do you compose yourself? How do you not gas yourself out? How do you not bite against the feints and the jabs of Fury? How do you slip them and land your own big shots against someone that's so used to clinching and putting their weight on you and has done this his whole life? You're stepping into his territory. And the perfect word that you said was durable. That's exactly what he was. More than anything, he was durable. And that's another, Beta brought this up too. The elbow that landed on the chin of Ngannou didn't even flinch. Do you know how crazy that is? That should have been a point taken away. It was that bad of an elbow. Not even a warning. It should have been. Ngannou should have complained, and maybe that's where experience plays a factor. He's used to elbows being allowed, so he didn't even flinch. But that was horrible. But that goes to show how durable Francis Ngannou is. So that's a very that's probably the best word that we could describe Ngannou as being. A durable fighter, and he was able to do so. He was able to withstand the punches and even elbows of Tyson Fury.
Tyson Fury. I also noticed that when he knocked Fury down, he started to do this dance instead of going straight to the corner. But overall, he hung in there with the best of the best.
Jack Dempsey did it against Gene Tunney, where even experienced boxers do that too. You get excited and you want to dance over your opponent. You don't want to go back to your corner, which is what he should have done immediately. But video releases at 2:30 p.m. guys. Ngannou explains that, and you guys will see it on this channel. Ngannou talks about when he stood over him in the third round, the knockdown that you're referring to, Steve. Ngannou is taunting him, and he's saying something along the lines of, "How about school now?" Because Fury says, "I'm going to take you to school," and then Ngannou scores a knockdown. And he says, "You're trash at being a professor." Something along those lines by Ngannou.
And I actually thought he outpointed him and beat him. But we know boxing, they got the criminals as judges, so it went to the most popular guy. And another side note.
Not only the most popular guy, their guy, the boxer, Tyson Fury, happened with Fury and KSI as well too, with Tommy. They're protecting essentially their own.
I think Dana is a perpetual hater against.
A perpetual hater is wild. I'm gonna start. A perpetual hater is crazy. We'll see what he has to say, right? As far as Ngannou, but Steve Williams with some early shots here at Dana White.
And another side note, I think Dana is a perpetual hater against Francis Ngannou, so he'll never come out and congratulate him. He'll say something real vague, like it was good for the sport or whatever. But anyway, I just want to thank you for this podcast, my brother. I will hit you back later. Peace.
And there you have it, guys. Steve Williams, great call. He's gonna be asked about it. I do believe that. And what he chooses to say, it might be very passive. Like, he might say something like, "Good for him," and that's about it. I don't know if he'll like praise him for his performance. If he does so, kudos to Dana White. I can't wait to see what he actually does say. Beta says, when the CompuBox numbers come out, the moment the fight closes, that's some effery is about. 267-545-8096. What do you think about Ngannou versus Fury? Was it a robbery? Hito says, wait, we're blessed with a Steve Williams voicemail. What a way to start the week. Listen. If he's able to call in at this time, maybe that's when we start the podcast from now on. Is at 1 p.m. We'll see. Gives me time to get some stuff done in the morning as well, too. All love, says Steve. The GOAT, says Beta. Now, potential matchups in the future. We were alluding to this a little bit earlier. Fury landed a big elbow, and Ngannou composed himself. He was durable. That is a magic word. Now, potential opponents in the future. Potential opponents in the future. I'm going to say, if I could pick any fighter for Francis Ngannou, I like the Joshua fight, but maybe right above that would have to be Deontay Wilder. It's arguably the baddest man on the planet, that being Francis Ngannou. In a fair fight, no rules. Francis Ngannou or John Jones. That's who's arguably the baddest man on the planet. Then you maybe have the strongest puncher in the world right now, that being Deontay Wilder. Two powerhouses. Deontay Wilder has said before that he wants that fight. As crazy as it may sound, Wilder has made a previous statement saying, listen, you come to my world and you box me, then I come to your world and fight you in MMA. I know that sounds crazy because essentially Wilder doesn't have a chance in the octagon. I will agree with most people. I'm sure most people have those sentiments. But Deontay Wilder has shown interest in that fight at the PFL when he was interviewed backstage. That might be the easiest fight to make. They tried to make it before. Joshua, it'll be interesting to see Eddie Hearn being head of the zone, and I'm sure he has some leeway or some pull. He might potentially be able to make that happen as well too. But I like the Deontay Wilder and Francis Ngannou fight, especially after what Ngannou did this weekend against Fury. And they both have the same opponents. You saw how well Francis Ngannou did against Fury. You've seen how well Deontay Wilder did against Tyson Fury. So you mash them both together and you see what happens. Hey, don't know if anyone said this, but the redesign of your info looks dope. Looks mad professional. Thank you so much, Beta. I'm going to try to, you see the channel members part, I'm going to try to even make that look a little cooler, but thank you for noticing, Beta. We're going to keep putting in some work. We have something in the works too, says Beta, so there you go. slowly but surely we are improving the stream as best as possible. Okay, so what's next for Francis Ngannou? 267-545-8096. Feel free to leave a voicemail. But yes, I'm gonna go Deontay Wilder. Now perhaps let's hypothetically say Joshua or Deontay Wilder are not available in the next fight. Is it still something you want to see? Ngannou fight maybe an Andy Ruiz, Ngannou fight back in MMA. What opponents are there out there besides Joshua and Wilder? Or is he relying on those two fighters? After the performance that he had, although losing, I would say in the eyes of the fans, in the eyes of the judges, he won. He did better than most imagined. He did better than anyone would have expected. He scored a knockdown. And even after the fight, the video that releases at 2:30, he has talked very positively about his future in boxing and MMA. And I'm intrigued to see the pay-per-view numbers. And if I were to ask you guys, let's say 500,000 pay-per-view buys, did Francis Ngannou and Tyson Fury exceed that? Or did they fall below that? Or we might have to put or set the bar at 300,000 if that's a little bit safer. Do you think they exceeded 300,000 or less than? And what is really a win? What is really a loss? My worry is that when the pay-per-view numbers come out, people are gonna say, and this is a unique situation, but people might say, "Oh, see, this doesn't sell." And Ngannou fumbled the bag, blah blah blah. Because of the performance that he had, I will say it almost doesn't matter what the pay-per-view numbers are.
You need people like me. You need people like me so you can point your finger.
Is that biased to say? Is that biased to say the pay-per-view numbers don't matter in this specific case? Let me explain why. Because even if this fumbled or even if this did horribly bad as far as sales, I think it's safe to say no matter how bad or good this card did between Ngannou, they need to do better with the undercards as well too. No matter the numbers that they sold, the general public, the general fan is interested to see what Ngannou does next. I truly do believe that. Fans in general, and the phone lines are now open. You can talk to me directly instead of a voicemail. 267-545-8096. The fans are interested on what Ngannou does next. So it doesn't matter how this previous card did. I think people are going to want to see Francis Ngannou fight. He did what almost seemed to be impossible. If he wasn't in the UFC, the narrative was there's no opponents for him out there. He's not going to sell well. Yes, he's going to be able to have a one-off and make a ton of money against Fury, but that's it. I think everything has changed. Live call. Yes, Hito, 267-545-8096. The phone lines are now officially open. Steve Williams says, Francis is the people's champ. He won in the hearts of all viewers. You hear praise from not only the fans, but general boxers as well too. MMA fighters have been saying you have represented us well. Boxers said even I feel that Francis Ngannou won. We have a live caller.
From
Hollywood Hito.
Hollywood Hito. Here we go. Hito,
Yep.
Welcome to the stream. How you doing today, man?
I'm good, good. You start talking about numbers, and then that's when Hollywood Hito has to get involved because that's my expertise.
There we go.
I don't think this one's gonna sell. This is definitely not no Logan Paul KSI type of deal. I want to say maybe 450, which is still really good. It was just I feel a bit under promoted. Also, I don't think everybody thought Tyson Fury was gonna destroy this guy, so nobody really wanted to waste their money. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Like where people wanted to see if like Dylan Dennis had a shot against Logan or something like that. Everybody counted Francis Ngannou out. Now that we see he can, hang with these guys, the next card's gonna be crazy. And if they do Wilder, they're going over a mil.
I saw you in the chat.
What the undercard is.
I saw you in the chat saying Wilder says sells better than Anthony Joshua. Why do you feel so strongly about that?
Because there's gonna be nothing but fireworks. There's two guys that already know how to do. Wow, I was about to say that crazy pause.
Hey, yo.
I don't even want to know.
All they knew how to do is just like try to go for the knockout, right?
Right.
So you're gonna get your money's worth. I don't think that's going to the bell. A Wilder and Ngannou fight, that's crazy.
Two-sided question. If you had to guess, what are the numbers for this previous card, that being Fury and Ngannou, and if it were Wilder and Ngannou in the future, give me the numbers for that as well.
I think it will be, I want to say 450 for this fight. And I think that might even be like a disappointment for the group, because these guys made a lot of money. It's hard to say. It's hard to say because it's Abu Dhabi, so they could have been pulling in some other different type of fans. I want to realistically say 450. And then for Wilder, I'm going to say 1.2 mil if Wilder and Ngannou fights.
Wow, you think it'll sell basically the same numbers as Gervonta Davis, Ryan Garcia?
Look what Logan Paul and Dylan Dennis did. And you knew you weren't getting a fight.
And that had a lot to do with the buildup. I guess you're essentially saying Ngannou and Wilder don't need a buildup because they're not going to talk trash to each other the same way Dylan and Logan Paul did.
I mean, I'm sure he's going to be a little bit, but the promoters are going to need to sell it. You're talking about like you're selling to see who's going to get knocked out. You're not selling a fight. You know, I think that's where it comes a little bit different. Like you're selling like with everybody expecting this not to go to 12 or 10 rounds, whatever they decide on. And if it does, that's a failure of a fight. So that's how big the implications of that fight's going to be. And can Ngannou knock somebody like Wilder out, and does he actually belong in boxing? There's going to be a lot of things the promoters can do to sell that fight. I don't think Ngannou and Fury really sold the fight that well.
I think they did a horrible job to actually, where most people didn't even know what was going on, as crazy as that sounds, as far as people that are not fight fans. Now heading into the future, you have a Wilder fight, you promote that. That is essentially the two biggest punchers in the world fighting against each other. So maybe Joshua does have a big fan base though overseas, Hito.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't like those UK numbers. The UK numbers are fugazi. They're selling tickets at $20. They're selling pay-per-view at $20 a head. That don't mean nothing. You can sell more than these guys, but it's not more than Ryan and Tank when you look at the grand scheme of things. Because Ryan and Tank are paying $84.99. Over there in UK, you're paying that $20 for a pay-per-view event. That's fugazi numbers to me.
I think I have to sadly agree with you, man. I think the Wilder fight is the one to make. Now, jumping ahead real quick, and we'll ask the rest of the chat. 267-545-8096. You can call in. Wilder and Francis do fight. How do you have that fight playing out to put you under the gun?
I think the Browns bomber will take him down, to be honest with you. I think Wilder takes him down if they do fight.
Francis ate a clean elbow, didn't even flinch. I guess you could say yes. Wilder's power is completely different, but so you're saying Wilder by knockout?
Oh yeah, either or. Both of them are gonna win by knockout, but I think Wilder gets it. I think Francis leaves himself open way too much for a knockout, and Fury ain't got that power for it. But I think Wilder can knock him out for sure. Yeah. But then Wilder's so cringe, he'll cry about it afterwards about knocking him out. You put a knife in the leg. All that shit.
I think, as crazy as this might sound, I think early, at least, I have to disagree with you. I think Francis wins, and I think he has multiple ways of winning. He can outbox Wilder. Wilder has been knocked out a good amount of times against Fury. Maybe his chin is questionable. Where Francis Ngannou lands clean, that could be a little bit dangerous for him as well too. I think I would early pick.
He leaves himself open to get hit too, and I think Wilder would take that opportunity all day.
That's what makes it an interesting fight. Where I do have to agree with you. I think that fight on paper is way more interesting.
Look how Wilder knocked out Tyson Fury in comparison. Like literally,
that's true.
Fury needs a. Fury was asleep and had to wake himself up. You know what I mean? Like when Ngannou did it, he was like, "All right, you got that," and came up with relative ease. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he took an 8-second nap. Literally, his eyes rolled behind his head, and he
got
up like
he lost that
Undertaker.
fight. He went way over the count. He went way over the count, by the way.
Yeah, isn't it crazy that we would be living in a different world if the judge or the referee just actually he could have waved it off as soon as Fury hit the canvas, because you know how sometimes referees do that when they see a guy's out cold.
Oh, yeah.
He almost could have done that and it would have been over. So lucky for Fury that didn't happen. But your early pick is Wilder. Any last thoughts about Francis Ngannou and his future in heavyweight boxing?
No, I think stay with boxing. That's where the money's at. If he's doing things for money and legacy too, because he can build a separate legacy. You stay with boxing. PFL, UFC not gonna pay you the money that boxing's gonna pay you. So all you guys are like, oh, like boxing, the judges. First of all, UFC got messed up judges as well. Just not as many fights, but the money is in boxing. At the end of the day, that's where everybody's making bank. So stay in boxing. Try to create a new legacy. You already got a name for yourself. Build on that. He's good to go.
No, I agree, man. Thank you so much for the call, Hito. Hollywood Hito now instead of Hito 609. Thank you for the call, man. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Hito 609 believing that Wilder beats Francis Ngannou. I don't know how I feel about that, but I do respect his opinion on the numbers on what would happen. Beta Quest says Joshua makes more money, but a Wilder fight does better promotion-wise. Scory says, yo, Miller, I got Wilder by KO, not going to lie, says Scory. I respect the opinion, man. Yo, what's up, Beta? Yeah, Devin is the best boxer in the world. Scory, you're the Devin. What's up? Listen, Devin, let's pump the brakes on Devin being the best right now. I think Shakur beats him, and Regis might even have a chance. So we'll see, because they're supposed to be fighting soon. Beta says, I would call, but my job has every saw running right now. You would hear a thing but lifts and says... Listen, feel free to call tonight if you desire to. I appreciate the calls by Q. I appreciate the calls by Hollywood Hito on the opinions of this past weekend. Francis Ngannou versus Tyson Fury. It has been a crazy, crazy, crazy weekend. Better respect me with the number, says Hito 609. Listen, I think you're aiming high as far as the numbers that we're gonna get for the pay-per-views. I think we're gonna have to wait for about 2 to 3 days. I think they probably did like around 300 or 400K. I don't even think they did 450, to be quite honest. And again, my argument is that it doesn't even matter, because this pay-per-view could have bombed. Nonetheless, in the future, when we have Francis Ngannou versus whoever else next, I think is going to do quite well. Now, to switch over topics just a little bit before we go back to Francis Ngannou, feel free to call in 267-545-8096. This weekend, November 4th at 9 p.m., Jailton Almeida versus Derek Lewis will be fighting. You guys know, if you guys been here for a while, the history of how I feel about Almeida and Derek, or about Derek Lewis. But this is a winnable fight. We'll see how he does. Also, as well, too, a key fight that I want to talk about as well. Abus Magomedov, you saw how he did against Sean Strickland. He's going to be fighting Kyle Boralho, who I think is arguably going to be a big threat in the middleweight division. But they'll be fighting as well, too. Bonfim, who's undefeated as a co-main, will be fighting as well. We're going to try to cover that. We have another caller, and I almost doxed him, but I didn't.
Call from
Joseph de Jesus.
Here we go. Joe wanted to call earlier.
Press 1 to send a voice.
And if you guys remember,
press 2.
He thought Tyson Fury won. Let's see what he has to say. Yo. Yo, Joe De Jesus. Welcome to the stream.
Miller.
What's up, bro? I hear you loud and clear.
What's going on, baby? You all right?
Everything is good, man. I've just been predicting fights correctly as usual. Something that you still have not learned from me. But nonetheless, you're here now.
Listen. I love your content. Keep it up. I love the Instagram short, the YouTube shorts, the Instagram videos, everything. I love everything. So keep it up, man. I've been watching the channel grow and everything. It's just keep at it, man. Keep at it, for real.
Joe, we dropped Trey and the numbers just skyrocketed. So I think we.
I was waiting. I was like wondering when is Trey gonna get dropped from the channel? So.
And he did, and the numbers skyrocketed. So thank you, man. I probably should have done that earlier.
Yeah, no, thank God. That's awesome, man. I'm glad you dropped Trey. Anyway, listen. So I want to talk to the people that don't know boxing
Here we go.
that thought Francis Ngannou won the fight. Miller, I want to ask. I didn't catch the beginning of the show. Did you think that Francis Ngannou won the fight?
Yes, I did.
You did.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I didn't hear your explanation. So explain to me why you thought he won the fight. I guess.
Too many swing rounds. For example, that judge that scored at 96-93 was egregious. I don't think there's 7 clear rounds that you could give Tyson Fury. For example, the swing round could have been round 1. The amount of punches you could count on one hand, the punches that landed. Round 3, clear win for Ngannou. Round 7, I believe, was a clear win for Ngannou. So that's already almost 4 out of 10 rounds. One being 10-8. round. Now 95-94 for Fury on one end and 95-94 for Ngannou on the other end. I maybe could say it's a split decision either way, but gun to my head, yeah, I believe that Ngannou won.
Interesting. So I watched the entire fight. Also, your comment about pay-per-view buys. Why would anyone ever buy a pay-per-view when we have Streamies? I go to Streamies for every single fight, and there's no reason why I would spend $80, $100 unless this is the only way I'm buying a fight. Unless it's a good fight, right? Good matchup, and I'm gonna throw a huge party. That's the only way I'm buying a fight. But to just, on a Saturday, just by myself or something, I'm not going to spend money on a fight. I'm sorry, unless it's a huge fight, and if it's a huge fight, I'm gonna have people over for it. But I don't see. I almost feel like 600,000 pay-per-view buys is like the equivalent of like $1.5 million, back in 2008 or something. You know what I'm saying? That's how I feel. But anyway, as far as the fight goes, I watched the entire fight and he was out jabbing him and he was just boxing him the whole fight. Ngannou was waiting for a big punch, which he would land sometimes, right? But it was a lot of inactivity from Ngannou, and I was thinking, okay, he's trying to save his energy. He's a big dude. He doesn't want to get tired in this fight. So he's trying to save his energy, which I thought he did a great job. I had Tyson Fury winning 2 rounds. I had him above by 2 rounds. If you want to give him 1 round, okay, I get it, 95-94. I agreed with that. I thought that was fair. I thought Tyson Fury looked rusty. I thought he gave him a lot of respect, was not going in at all, was really treating him like he was a world-class champion fighter. I mean, it was like a chess match for Tyson Fury in there, trying to get in without getting caught by anything, because Ngannou was swinging for the fences every single time, and I was like, whoa, this fight could end at any moment. I mean, when he knocked him down, I was in shock in that moment. I was like, oh my goodness, we have a fight here. And so I'm not saying, hear me out, I'm not saying that Tyson Fury mopped the floor with him. I'm not saying that. But to say that Ngannou won without throwing any jabs, without throwing any real body shots every single round. I mean, how many punches did he throw every single round? It was like he's not feinting, he's not doing nothing. He's just, I get it, he was waiting to counterpunch him. I just thought he had a lot of inactivity. But when he was active, I thought he was landing. I just thought he wasn't active enough. I think, this is what I think. I think Francis Ngannou wins that fight if he throws 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 more punches every single round. I think he wins the fight. I just think he won. I think he lost the fight because he wasn't active enough. And I thought that Fury was landing more jobs. He was boxing him better than Ngannou was boxing Fury. That's how I felt.
So let me ask you this. Let's say the judges scored a split decision win for Ngannou. Would you have been okay with that, or are you saying Fury won that clear?
I would have been like, man, they really want him to win that fight. I don't see a split decision for Ngannou. I see a split decision for Tyson Fury, because I had Tyson Fury barely winning the fight, because, again, Tyson Fury was landing a lot of jabs throughout the fight, and he was landing a lot of 1-2s. He was landing a lot of 1-2 combinations on him the entire fight. Now, when he would land the 1-2, Ngannou would be throwing that fire back, but he was still landing. Ngannou wasn't really landing 1-2s. he was landing them big shots on him, which again counts for something. I'm not saying it doesn't count for anything. And Tyson Fury gave him a lot of respect. He gave him more respect than he did to Wilder. So that's why I'm with you that 100% I believe Ngannou would knock out Wilder clean out. I believe that 100%. After watching this fight, I thought going into it, man, I don't ever bet on fights, and I said, this is why I don't ever bet on fights, because I would have put my mortgage on Tyson Fury. Seriously, I was thinking before the fight, let me see how this plays out. I would put my mortgage I would mortgage my house and put all the money on Tyson Fury, and he barely won. I would have been watching that fight like scared,
sweating.
Sweating. And that's why I don't ever bet on fights. But my point is that Tyson Fury, I thought he outboxed. I thought he Floyd Mayweathered him. That's really what I thought, because Floyd Mayweather doesn't really be landing the power punches, but I think I think that Tyson Fury Floyd Mayweathered Ngannou, and I think that Ngannou with a couple more fights, and even if they get a rematch, I think Ngannou could beat him. So it wasn't like I thought he, wiped the floor with him at all. I just thought he just wasn't active enough. He didn't show enough boxing. He didn't show enough combinations. He didn't show enough jabs. He was kind of inactive. You wouldn't agree with that he was kind of inactive?
I'm glad you went on a soliloquy on how inactive Ngannou won and how Fury out-jabbed him. This is great. So then I can tell you why you're wrong. I have on the screen, I don't know if you have two devices, Joe De Jesus, but I'm glad you brought this up with the jabs landed by Fury as compared to Ngannou. I have it on the screen right now. And as far as the jabs landed, the total punches landed. Yeah. Now, you would have been right if the numbers showed what you said. That is not what the numbers show. As far as the jabs landed, yes, the first round, Fury landed more. The second round, one more jab. The third round, Ngannou landed 3 more jabs and scored a knockdown.
Right.
round number 4, right? Round number 4, Ngannou landed more jabs. It's too close to call. Round number 5, only 2 more jabs by Fury. Now, round 6, he dominated. 6 more jabs. Round number 7 was too close. Round number 8, the same number of jabs. All that to say, it was closer than I think even you imagine as far as like the jabs being thrown and who dictated the pace.
No, you're right. Mm-hmm. You're right. You're 100% right. Yeah, I thought that. I just thought you couldn't edge it out, and he's the heavyweight champ, like undisputed heavyweight champ, correct? Is he not?
Yes.
Okay, he's a heavyweight champ. You can't barely edge him out. I mean, you have to beat him, especially in boxing. Like in MMA, I think it's in UFC. I think it might be a little bit different. I think the judges are more fair, honestly, in the UFC than the boxing. I think boxing judges are way worse than UFC judges, and I think that in boxing you have a history of that phrase of you got to beat the champ. That comes from boxing. That's a boxing phrase.
To be the champ, you got to beat the champ. I think he's missing a belt as well, too. I'm sorry. I think Usyk has one of the belts, so they're trying to unify.
Usyk has one, so he's not undisputed. So
I think he has like 3 of the 4 or something. I would have to double check. Mm-hmm.
Got you. Okay. Yeah, but my point is that the boxing's not going to give him the fight unless he really beats Tyson Fury's behind. I mean, you saw Canelo versus Triple G, that first fight. I mean, I thought clearly Triple G won that fight, but it wasn't like he like knocked him down and knocked him out and just like completely whooped his butt. Even though I thought he clearly won the fight, it's the same thing. Boxing is weird like that. You have to, if you have a champ like Tyson Fury, and in my opinion looks like the second coming of Muhammad Ali, you have to really beat him. You're not just gonna go in there and hit him with 2 more jabs and then win the fight. I mean, that's not gonna happen. So
that's fair. I've always disagreed, even though I think the majority of people agree with you that in order to be the champ, you have to beat the champ. But to me, I disagree with those sentiments only because it's a round by round scoring. So it's not like they say, oh, let me look at all my scorecards and then if it's too close, let's just give it to the champ. At the end of the day, they got to give their score round by round. But of course, they might be a little bit more favorable to the champ. So you might be right in those sentiments. It was close, so at least we could agree that it was an extremely close fight. You would just edge it out to Fury.
Yeah, it was a close fight. I would just give it to Fury. As I was watching it, I was like, man, he had him on the ropes. I was actually rooting for Ngannou to knock him out because I was like, oh man, he's got him. And then he just wouldn't go after it for some reason. He just wouldn't, chase him down. And I think that in Ngannou's mind, him knocking down Tyson Fury and him being competitive in the fight, he won the fight. He went in there to land some good shots on him and not get embarrassed. And not only did he not get embarrassed, he looked good. And he looked like he could be a world champion boxer. So he's in the fight. Hey, I'm doing good. I don't got a scratch on my face. He landed a couple of little clean shots on me, but nothing. I'm eating all these punches. I ate an elbow midway through the fight, and I'm still here, and I'm looking. Not only am I looking okay, I'm looking good. I'm looking like I could beat this guy in a rematch. So I don't think he had that energy. Not the energy. I don't think he had that that desire to try and get him out of there. He wasn't trying to. I don't think he was really trying to beat him. I think he was trying to show everybody that he could be in there with him and look not good, but look great. That's what I think.
I agree with you. Although he lost a fight, in essence, I guess, in a sense, he won the war. Now his stock has risen. He's going to have plenty of fights. So it's not really a blemish on his career that he lost on paper to Tyson Fury. Any last thoughts, Joe De Jesus, before we get to the next caller? Appreciate you calling in. It's been a while. Ever since you've been wrong about Derek Lewis, I feel like I haven't seen you, but you're here today.
Yeah, last thoughts. One, I hate Devin Haney. Not as a person, as a boxer.
Right.
It's not personal.
Right.
I don't like Devin Haney. I hope Devin Haney gets knocked out by whoever he fights, and I hope we never hear about his name ever again because he is the worst. He's literally the worst boxer. Not boxing as in the art of boxing. I'm saying I don't like to watch him fight. He is so annoying. He boxes people and he hugs people, and he doesn't fight at all. When people when he likes to say he's Floyd Mayweather, that is not the case at all. Floyd Mayweather had cobra-like reflexes and would make guys look stupid. And Devin Haney is hitting dudes and hugging them and just looks. It's a horrible fight. I hate the way he fights, and those are my last thoughts. I don't like Devin Haney, so there you go.
That was from left field, but I appreciate it because I'm not a fan of his either. Thank you for the call, Joe De Jesus. Appreciate you, man.
Appreciate it, Miller. Bye-bye.
There you guys have it.
Call
Joe
from.
De Jesus. We have another caller, ladies and gentlemen. This is, I believe, Hito, Hollywood Hito. Welcome to the stream again.
Hey, yo, ain't no way that guy. You gotta start vetoing people. You can't just let anybody on the fucking line, bro. You gotta start vetoing people.
Here we go.
He compared Fury to Mayweather. He said we don't know nothing about boxing and compared Fury to Mayweather. Number one. Number two was like, oh, you gotta beat the champ. If you're gonna beat a champ, you gotta beat the champ. You see Fury's fucking face? He knocked him down. He outpunched him a bunch of runs. And look at his face. What more did the guy have to do? Kill him? I don't understand. Like, I get the close fight. I'm okay with the decision because it's close. But, like, this guy saying we don't know nothing about boxing, it sounds like he doesn't know anything about boxing. The only thing he's saying is 1-2, 1-2. You're saying all the most basic boxing terminologies in the world. And then you compared him to Floyd Mayweather. I don't know what fucking fight you were watching. I didn't see Floyd in that at all.
And to what you said, and I put it on the screen. Did you see Tyson Fury's face? I put it on the screen for those that are watching the stream right now. 27545-096. Look at Fury's face to what Hito said. Look at Fury's face as compared to Ngannou. Not a blemish, not a scratch almost on the eye, on the face of Ngannou. But look at Fury. Look at his left eye. And that's not even from the knockout. So as far as damage, if you're going strictly off damage, look who's worse.
Damage, knockdown. The guy, he was there with the punches. What more does he got to do at that point? If anything, and you know what? That the beat a champ, you got to beat the champ comparison is for other people that have been boxing their whole life. He did this against a MMA guy that's never boxed. So I think that analogy got to go right out the window. You get embarrassed. Go retire after that, bro. And he potentially canceled the mega fight with you and Usyk. This is the guy that said he was the next second coming to Muhammad Ali. He was looking like Floyd Mayweather, And then he's gonna go in the chat and say we don't know nothing about boxing. That's crazy. You gotta start vetting these people.
And Hito, I don't mean to sound like a talking point as far as I'm a Tyson Fury hater, but I've been saying this for years. He always has the physical advantages as far as being bigger than his opponents. Against Wilder, he was about 30 pounds more, 32 pounds more, something like that. I know my camera went out. I'll try to fix that in a bit. I know, but Fury, and he had a debatable against Otto Wallin. I'm just not the biggest believer in Tyson Fury, and he had a questionable win against Francis Ngannou.
Cringe, man. Kind of cringe. I don't know. I hope that fight with Usyk isn't canceled so Usyk can just mop this guy and put him back in retirement. I'm over it. I'm over the whole family. They're all annoying. Tired of hearing them talk.
No, listen, I agree with you. It wasn't that impressive of a performance. Fury gets a job done. I forgot to plug my camera into my charger, so let me quickly do that real quick. Hito, in case you want to keep talking to the chat or hang up, that's up to you. I'll be right back.
How's everybody doing today? Let me see what chat's saying right quick. Yeah. But seriously, it shouldn't have been that close to a fight. Nothing, huh? Nothing in the chat. Well, guess I made my point. Oh, and Miller, I gotta go. About to drop the baby off. Later.
One second, chat. I'm back in case of anything. That was just unfortunate. I forgot to literally plug my camera in. But crazy outcome as far as Ngannou and Tyson Fury, and it was interesting to see Hito's debate against Joseph De Jesus. I wonder if De Jesus would have had any response, but a crazy talking point, crazy argument. Hito, Ngannou beats Wilder. Listen, Beta is not lying. Beta is telling the truth. I agree. What? Oh, all right. Question for you guys. We're only gonna go to 2:30, so we're only a few minutes left. But how does Wilder win if not by knockout? I think that's a very fair question. If Wilder doesn't win by knockout, and it's also a point that needs to be made as well too. Ngannou has a chin. He got hit with a clean elbow and wasn't even phased. It could be argued that everyone Wilder has knocked out maybe doesn't have as good of a chin as Ngannou. Remember, Wilder was knocked out by Fury. Ngannou wasn't hurt, not even once throughout the whole fight. So that's another talking point as well, too. I mean, listen, I can't blame those that feel that Ngannou beats Wilder, because I would admit that I feel the exact same way. I think if you match them up a month from now, if you match them up and if you said, listen, they're going to be fighting each other tomorrow or in a month, I'm sorry, I would say that Ngannou wins. I would say that Ngannou gets the job done. 267-545-8096 if you guys want to talk about off of being a switch hitting power puncher alone, Ngannou gets the job done. Yeah, that's another issue as well too. He was able, in a sense, to adjust. He was able to adjust against Fury, give him a southpaw look, give him an orthodox look. Also, guys, at 2:25, my next video releases, so I'll make sure I put that in chat, and then we'll get out of here. But we've had an interesting conversation thus today. I apologize for the camera towards the end. We've been live for an hour, so we've had a good time. We'll be back at 7 p.m. with Trey Melton, so thank you for those. The viewership was great today as well, too, so we might start doing 1:15 from now on. I think people appreciated that time slot. Nonetheless, guys, Ngannou split decision loss. Is it really even a loss at this point? I think this hurts. I think this helps Ngannou's career more, of course, than it helps Fury. I think this is a bigger, as far as accomplishment for Ngannou. And I think Fury is going to be somewhat criticized. Imagine if the Fury versus Ngannou fight is made. What are people going to say? Oh, man, Fury didn't even do that good against Ngannou. He's not what we thought he was. You put someone there the same size as Fury, and they do well against them. Maybe Wilder wasn't the most impressive opponent. And he's not necessarily the opponent or the fighter that we could give Fury credit for beating. And then you look at the resume of Tyson Fury real quick as we almost close out the show. Let's go to BoxRec real quick. I mean, what names really stand out to you? I know this might sound almost blasphemous and people might hate me for this, but although Joshua lost to Usyk, you can say the resume of Anthony Joshua as I know it sounds crazy. At least my face isn't on the camera in case people want to hate. Joshua's resume almost, if not, does look better than Fury. Look at Fury's resume. Derek Chisora, who was over the hill. That fight should have never happened. Dillian White, Deontay Wilder, Otto Wallin, Deontay Wilder. He did beat Klitschko a while ago, but again, that Wallin fight was somewhat close. Not only that as well too, it has been a bunch of Wilder fights, Chisora against not so much formidable opponents. Now, if we look at Anthony Joshua, at the end of the day, he has 3 losses. I understand that. But Helenius is not the craziest, but he was willing to fight Usyk. We'll see how Fury does against Usyk. But this man has fought Pulev, Andy Ruiz, Povetkin, Joseph Parker, Vladimir Klitschko, Eric Molina, Brazil, Charles Martin, Dillian White. Listen, all I'm saying is that he's fought some big names and he has taken the risks. Fury being significantly bigger than Wilder. People don't talk about that enough. He was about 32 pounds heavier. His resume isn't that impressive. That's all I'm going to say. And that's why I have Usyk as being the better fighter as far as pound for pound as well, too. Off of being a switch hitting power. Yep. Wilder is a massive puncher. We all know that. But we also know Wilder is not the most skilled and his chin has been touched. And exactly. He's not as big of a threat as people have imagined if he's not able to land the big knockout punch. His only path to victory, as far as in the past, has been by knockout. Where at least you could say Francis has a chance at winning not only by knockout, but by decision as well. Beta says all Ngannou has to do to win is keep up the body work on the middle rounds. If he doesn't headhunt for as long as he did after the knockdown, he could have gotten more results from body work. Pause. Says Beta. He beat an aging and out of the door Klitschko. That's another thing as well too. When he beat Klitschko was already running the division for about 10 years. But guys, thank you so much for the ongoing support. Let me quickly do one thing in the meantime. Let me guys, give me 1 second. Let me copy this link. Guys, new video out now. We'll be back at 7 p.m. Thank you for the massive support. We have had a bunch of people watching tonight. This is a good time, I guess, to make some videos, guys. Go like the new video. Go watch it. That is Francis Ngannou's post-fight reaction. Let me know your thoughts. Please leave a comment. That is the newest video. It just literally released right now. Please leave a comment. #1 commentary channel on YouTube. We'll be back at 7 p.m. with Trey Melton talking about Ngannou versus Tyson Fury and more UFC 295 and UFC Fight Night. #1